Hello everyone, welcome back to Let's Play Museum Madness. In our last episode, we finished up the last set of science exhibits, at least for the time being. It's these ones over here on the side, and in this episode, we're going to be going into the first of our major history exhibits. American history, to be exact, the Transcontinental Railroad. I'll leave the text on the screen up for a little bit if you guys want to actually read into the history of this, but if you don't, that's fine. I'm going to skip over it most of the time anyway. This area is actually fairly simple. We just talked to this guy to get the quick 411. He lets us know the basic plot that there's two railroads racing to get across the United States as fast as they can. One building from California, the other building from the east, and the idea is we have to help one of the two to cross the U.S. as fast as possible, as Mick will explain. Also, the music in this area is actually pretty decent. It's a... oh, I can't remember the title of that song, but it's one of those traditional songs that you hear growing up a lot. At least I did. We have to reach Promontory Point, Utah, before the other company. Doesn't matter which company you choose. Each one has an equal chance of winning. Obviously this guy is one of the guys that we can work for. The other one is over here. So he's the engineer from... He thinks we're an engineer from New York City. But, yeah, obviously we're not. Anyway, as I said, the whole point is that we have to get from Nebraska to Utah, laying track the whole way. Well, how might we do that, you ask? Well, it's actually fairly simple. See this map here in the background? We have to use that to actually get there. Basically, the map has been scrambled, and we have to put it back together, and that basically just gets the railroad from one end to the other. Relatively simple, same as a lot of the puzzles that we've done throughout this game. They give you a chance to choose between the two sides, but it doesn't matter at all which side you actually choose from. We do have a time limit, though. We have to reach Promontory Point by May 10th, 1869. Basically what this works out to be is that you have about a 3 to 4 minute time limit on actually getting the puzzle completed, by which time the other railroad will have met, and then you'll have to restart the exhibit. One thing that you'll notice going into these history exhibits is that a lot of them are actually much more difficult than earlier exhibits were. I don't know if you were meant to do these later or what, but that's just the way things work out. Now, this puzzle is actually a lot harder than it looks because it's harder to figure out. There aren't any state borders or anything like that that can help us actually figure out where stuff goes. So you actually have to first try to get the red line in the middle put together, and then you have to try to get things that fit next to that, and so on. You can kind of see that there's a sort of black border around the edge of a lot of the pieces. That'll kind of help you line up the edges, but the middle section of the map is actually what's hardest to do, and that's why I'm trying to do that first. Every once in a while, while you're doing the puzzle, the general will get a telegram that'll let you know something's going on, and then that'll change the amount of time that you have. You can see the months counting down in the upper right as we move towards our deadline, and every time he gets a message, it either moves you forward or back 1 month. Sometimes it'll be positive or be negative. The last one that I got that was positive, it basically reset our timer for a month. Now, this puzzle isn't as tricky as some of the star map puzzles that we had to do in the last part, but it is not hard, I would say. There are harder puzzles in this game, but it's still tricky because the yellow colors, it's hard to tell exactly where they line up and where the gradient is. Sounds like we're getting another telegram. Avalanche blocks tracks, so we are now behind a month. Or ahead a month. I'm not exactly sure how it works. They may have tried to gain us a month, but that immediately reset. That happens sometimes. You'll get the note that you gain or lost a month right as you're about to switch months, so it looks like nothing happened. It's just that that month will last twice as long as it's supposed to. Now you can see I don't quite have it, so basically what you have to do, the red line is supposed to go in the second row. You can kind of tell, it's hard, you don't get a look at the map before it's scrambled, which is the hard part, but then once you do have it, now that it's not scrambled, you can kind of line up the borders and work on that. Crew moving faster than expected, and we gain another month. So that moves us from October back to September. I don't know exactly how that works, but, you know. So you can see the black border now on top as I move it around, and I believe there's only one more piece I need to move. Yep, there we go. We're at November 1866, so we had time to spare. And we beat the Union Pacific to Promontory Point, which means that we won the Golden Spike. That was all we needed to do, really. Now we get to watch little DOS animations, 1 or 2 frame animations of... Oddly enough, that smoke has more frames to it than the people you'll see being animated in about a minute here. Well, not in this scene, the next scene. Yeah, that's the same exact train, just coming from the opposite direction. I see through your lies, Museum Madness. I see through your lies. So yeah, each of these workers only has 2 frames. They're that poor. Of course, in real life, the workers who did work on the Transcontinental Railroad were mostly Chinese, so I'm not sure exactly how realistic this game is, but, you know, whatever. And we get a note, or rather a telegram, from President Ulysses S. Grant himself, congratulating us on our victory. Now, in real history, I don't recall exactly which of the 2 companies won the race. I don't even remember if they did. They may have tied. But, yeah. In our version, General Dodge won. We've hammered in the Golden Spike, and the Transcontinental Railroad, the first reliable way that Americans had to get from East Coast to West Coast, is complete. And with that, we're sent back to the main hall to get ready for our next exhibit. That being... let's see here. The Salem Witch Trials. Now, this one is actually going to be a little bit touchy of a subject because obviously the Salem Witch Trials deals a lot with things like religion, and especially in early America, it was a very, very touchy subject, but I think this game deals with it pretty well. It's mostly about superstition than anything else. So yes, in 1692, well before the colonies were even well before the American Revolution, this was happening, and we can talk. This is the first chapter that we have that's most like a traditional adventure game. I told you before that a lot of the history chapters are going to be a lot more like a traditional adventure game. This is the first one that we really get to see that, because we have to talk to a bunch of different characters, get their ideas and get their stories, and then solve a problem to deal with that. Basically, the 3 girls have seen 3 different illusions or specters, and they blame them on this other woman here on the left and claim that they prove that she is a witch. This tribunal here, we have to convince them that she's not a witch, because if she is a witch, she'll be burned at the stake. So what you want to do is you want to talk to the girls. They'll tell you, why they think she's a witch, and then you talk to this girl named Sarah Good over here on the left, and she'll tell you that she's innocent and that she saw the specters as well, but that they appeared from nowhere. So our protagonist actually shows some competence and suggests that we actually go to check out the locations where these specters took place. Obviously, a woman's life is at stake here. And then after that, you want to talk to the tribunal, and they will suggests that you go and investigate and unlock the door, which allows you to advance in the exhibit. This first puzzle is actually fairly simple. All you have to do is talk to the girls first to get their story. They claim to have seen the specters of animals somewhere here on the hillside on a night much like this one. You can kind of see, if you're observant, you can kind of see looking at the background where somebody might see animals. So she claims to have seen them as well, but she didn't create them, so what we've got to do is try to recreate what happened that night. So what do we have that creates light? A flashlight, of course. So if you take your flashlight, they accuse you of possibly being a witch. But nothing ever really comes of it. All you have to do is use the flashlight to shine on different parts of the background that might wind up looking like scary animals. Namely, this rock formation over here. You can see that doesn't really look like much of anything, but, well, that rock formation as well. Revenge of the Zombies. It sounds like I'd be shocked if such a movie actually did exist, but at the same time, yeah, I don't know. So yeah, the tribunal is convinced that the rocks themselves are what caused the specters, along with the moonlight, and we have to move on to the next location of where these things took place. We can't actually talk to anyone. We just have to go on to the next area. So this one actually tripped me up a little bit when I originally played through this, or when I played through it again recently. So they're talking about how bland and colorless everything is in puritanical society, which is, it's fair enough. But they say that somehow colors appeared from nowhere, and that they claim that she did it. And she says she saw the colors as well, but that she didn't cause them. So this is a two-step puzzle. And actually does require something from our backpack, but it also requires this. It's a crystal vase that one of the girls kept it. It's normally up on the dresser, which is that thing right back there, and they moved it to the table. What we have to do is we have to pry open the window to make light shine through the window and hit the vase. We can use our pocket knife, the most useful implement of all of the implements that we have in our backpack, to shine a beam of light like a laser straight at the mirror. And there it is. Now they claim again that it was her that caused it, but it's really not. It was us. Not a specter, it's a spectrum. But boo, boo, boo this man. But yeah, basically this whole thing, they turned the Salem witch trials into a way to teach you about the different properties of light in some backhanded fashion, but it doesn't quite work like that because light's a complicated science and they can only cover very simple things. Anyway, we disproved that specter, so now we have to move on to the third one. This one actually makes the least amount of sense because you actually interfere with these things very little, if at all, to actually get to this point. We got to talk to the girls again and figure out exactly what it is they saw. So they saw a specter of a witch on the wall. And they say that she was calm and didn't run away, but that's because she wasn't even looking at the wall. She was fixing the lamp. And then everybody just ran out of the barn. So she didn't see anything. But the specter of the witch is the worst of all because summoning a witch is the sign of actually being a witch. I don't know exactly how that works. So we still have to solve this one or else she'll still be found guilty. But all we have to do is go to the lamp, just like Sarah did originally, and adjust it. Which, all you have to do is click on it, and nothing really visibly changes except for the shadows on the wall. Just keep clicking and keep changing the shadow until... I don't know exactly how you get that shadow off of a shovel and a bucket, but, whatever. Yes. And then they deliver an Aesop about fear over common sense. That, whatever. Yeah, forget I said anything. The girls are frightened. Never mess with scared folks. They jump to too many conclusions. And we gotta go head back to the main hall and get ready for our next exhibits. And that's all for this episode, folks. I'll see you all next time as we tackle more of American history. Later.